Justin Vernon has spent the last 2 decades reshaping what modern songwriting can be. As Bon Iver, he's earned 2 Grammy Awards, collaborated with artists from Taylor Swift to James Blake, and built one of the most quietly influential catalogues in contemporary music. From the cabin-made intimacy of For Emma Forever Ago to the textured experimentation of I.I., his music has always been rooted in reflection. But now, with Sable Fable, Justin is stepping out of the shadows, both sonically and emotionally, to reimagine what recovery and reconnection sound like. From quiet moments of gospel purity to raw, defiant rhythms, he shares the music that gave him the courage to keep going and the peace to sit still. This is Songs That Save Me with Bon Iver. Welcome to a brand new episode of Songs That Save Me, and a really special one. We are here in East London at the Barbican Centre, and I am joined by none other than Justin Vernon of Bon Iver. Justin, hello.
Thank you. Hello.
It's great to be with you. One of my favourite little facts that we learned as we came into the venue today was that the Barbican was designed to get lost in. So the local residents could kind of have it as their very own oasis. And I thought that was a really nice metaphor, actually, for perhaps your music and the way you make your music. Would that be fair to say?
I think so. And also where I'm from, I still live in the kind of middle of nowhere. And when I get a chance to get back there, it's like I'm hiding or I'm at least cut off from the world. I mean, look at where we are. We're in the center of London, basically. And it's just, you get to be cut off and separated. And I think, and the music also, it's a place for, I think, people to go deep inside themselves and reflect. And we put a lot of folds and secret hallways in the music, I think, for people to find those kind of places in themselves.
Well, we'll talk about it a little bit later, but I feel like Sable Fable is perhaps the opposite of that. It's revealing, isn't it? It's kind of emerging from those folds and those little secret alleyways that you've had in your music for so many years now. Maybe just a feeling of how you felt approaching it in that way, because it really is so different, isn't it?
Well, it's a little bit like the sun coming out. It's like, well, we're gonna get out of the darkness and kind of dust ourselves off and try to live again and be remade, So I think it's a bit like that.
Well, before we get into talking about Sable Fable, we are on Songs That Save Me. This is an opportunity for you to share some music that you love, that has shaped your career, who you are, where you've been in the world. And we'd love to hear the stories all around these different songs that you've chosen for us. So, kick us off. What do you want to go with first?
It feels like this was made for me. I was into this. So I appreciate y'all having me.
Of course.
I wanted to start with a Cooder song called Drive Like I'd Never Been Hurt.
I'm gonna drive like I've never been hurt. I'll be long gone like you never lied. I'll find my way like I've never been lost, and you never laughed and
The song came into my life pretty late. I've been a Cooder fan my whole life. My friend Phil Cook, who's basically my musical teacher, has always had Cooder on and studying his playing and things, and I've always loved it. But this particular song came into my life about 2 years ago. I was kind of going through a rough patch and kind of coming off of 15 years of kind of overexposure and exhaustion from touring and just not doing that well. And it wasn't exactly rock bottom, but it was I was having a tough time kind of seeing how I could get back up and get back into life again. I just wasn't feeling very strong. And this song, once it went on and I heard it and the knob in the car went up, it didn't get turned off for a few days, a few weeks, and it's just the phrase "drive like I'd never been hurt." It's like you kind of have to fake it till you make it. You have to, if you're in a tough period of time or you're at the end of a long race, a long test in your life, you have to push. And you got to drive like you've never been hurt. And it says it in the title. You have been hurt, but you have to drive like you've never been hurt. And I think he wrote it with his son. There's a lot of the verses are metaphors for putting back together parts of a car, because they were working on a car, and there's obviously the car metaphor in there. And I've always used the metaphor of a car to sort of talk about my mechanism as a person. You talk to plenty of touring musicians who get burnt out, and I've always said, when you're up there and you're singing and you don't really have the strength to be doing what you're doing, it's like running a car with no oil. So this song just it just got me lit up. It got me on my feet again.
I think you're right. Lyrically, it's so poignant, that record, and so impactful. But rhythmically as well, it's just incredible. And it kind of it really made me think of Bon Iver music, really, in that sense, quite hard. And it made me think, what's it like trying to piece together and layer together a song like that with so many different instruments and rhythms, and to make it feel as one?
Well, I think Rye's probably I know he's a deeper trained musician. You know, he did a lot of Cuban music with a lot of the greats out of Cuba. You know, as they got into their 70s and 80s, and so he studied rhythm on a molecular level his whole life. And I've always sort of...
It feels scientific, actually.
Yeah. And he got in the DNA and the bones with all those players down there. And for me, I've always sort of been borrowing from everything that I've listened to, including all that stuff, but all around the globe or whatever. And so for me, I've always just kind of done a lot on my own, especially when I've been recording. And you just kind of hit it till it works, until it kind of gets you up out of your chair or makes your hair on your arm stand up or whatever. And so I think just like architecturally, I wait till I've made a moment that makes me feel something along the lines of that this song or any of these songs make me feel, until I know I've got something. It's
a satisfaction, isn't it? It's like doing a jigsaw and putting the final piece in and it all just looks perfect.
Yeah.
When you're moving through life, are you also listening for sounds and things that could work in those different layers from everyday life as you're kind of moving around the different cities, as we were talking about before?
I'd say so. Man, every time I come to London, I forget how hard the tube just rips. Like, it is so loud. And it was doing this, like, wolf scream on the Northern Line the other day. And I definitely got my mic out and started sampling it. And I just was looking around. It's so loud and so, like, metal. It was like the intro to a Motorhead song or something. And I was looking around, I was like, does nobody want to mosh right now? Like, nobody's like, yeah. But yeah, I think I was sampling a lot for about 10 years. That's all I was doing. But I'm always got my ear out for something that we could turn into.
Are there any sounds that come to mind just from everyday life? Maybe like, the Northern Line Scream, for example, that you always just really love hearing?
That's the name of our band, by the way, Northern Line Scream.
Yeah, nice.
Lately, as I've been sort of in like recovery and like new life mode, I think just open window into the forest out of the back of the studio. I'll just sit in the room looking out with all the wind coming through and just really observe like the gusts of wind that come and move all the trees at once. But, wind is never in two places at one time, right? So I know it sounds kind of obvious, but I've actually had the moment in my life to be present enough to be like, I can hear it all. And I don't know if it's probably related to music, but I think it's also just related to calming down and like, shrinking to be in nature, to not be so stressed out about something so beautiful as living a human life,
I'm glad we could have you here in the conservatory then. It's sort of, it sort of feels like the forest at the back of the studio here, doesn't it? Which is nice. You said the word recovery there, and I wonder if that's really what Sable Fable is to you. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. I think Sable was a kind of snapshot looking backwards, a 3-song, but very thick 3 songs, to kind of look back at the 15 years of sort of maybe choosing to stay in the dark or not really ready to step into the light. And Fable's definitely like what happens when you finally do step into the light.
Well, I don't necessarily know if Fable itself ends with like a total happy ending with au revoir. And I like that you sort of have the lyricless au revoir at the end just to leave your own interpretation on. Maybe another song might be nice tonight.
Yeah,
Songs That Save Me.
This is easily a top fiver for me. I got deeply into Sam Cooke, again with my friend Phil Cook, different spelling, not related. And we just studied a lot of these recordings that Sam Cooke produced in a lot of these black gospel groups in the early 60s. And we became obsessed with Sam and all his music. And then, of course, that brought us to like young Aretha Franklin. And when she was doing not secular music, but gospel music as a 19-year-old person, we just gobbled it all up. But as Aretha sort of found her voice was too powerful to just stay in the gospel space, she started making secular music. And Sam Cooke wrote a song called You Send Me, and it sort of was a hit for him many years before. But it was him stepping out of the gospel space, which is a hard thing to do sometimes when the gospel fans want you to stay true to the religious stuff. But it's a love song. It was a secular love song. And so when Aretha did her own version of it, and it's only like 2 minutes and some seconds long, and it's just, if you listen to this song in your car, you might drive too fast, and it hits. It hits so hard.
To turn this up.
Yeah,
do you want to introduce it?
Yeah, this is You Send Me by Aretha Franklin.
Darling, you send me. Darling, you send me. Darling, you send me. Honest you do, honest you do, honest you do.
The purity of that record is the thing that strikes me most. You know, at that point, like you're saying, it's a young Aretha Franklin, very young, very pure, very untouched, and that is love at its one of its most purest forms, I think. And as we get older as people, our experience of love and those kind of things become more tainted, don't they? And the experiences that we have kind of shape the way we view it a lot of the time.
Absolutely.
And I think having songs like that is so important to be able to return to, and it's almost like Disney love, isn't it? You know, it's the blissful unawareness of all the hardships that can come with it.
I think that's the whole concept with the Fable thing. It's like you almost have to put yourself back in the storybook of love and like allow it to come in. You know, if you get too tainted, you get too, scarred. You're gonna stop having that, permeability to letting love in your life,
Did a song like that have a big impact on Everything Is Peaceful Love?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's hard to kind of pick one or two influences because there's so many thousands of songs that I think has, had to be whittled down into a list like this, right? But I think that particular one, it just is bursting with joy. Like it can't contain itself. Woo, send me. Like how she does that. It's just she can't be contained, and I think that Everything Is Peaceful Love that was my version of that. It's just like I'm climbing up a tree. I don't even know what to do with myself.
I love that lyric, by the way.
Thank you.
That's uncontrollable physicality.
Yeah.
That you just don't know how to channel the emotions. So I'm just going to climb this tree.
Well, and it's like you're also kind of surprised, like, damn, I'm climbing up a tree. What?
Yeah,
is
this
happening?
is what love can do.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. I'd love to start a short story, actually. The lyric, January 8th, the whole world. Is that right?
Yeah.
That felt like some kind of sort of canon event for me. Are you able to enlighten us what that moment was?
Yeah, I think it's the first song kind of on the Fable set. I guess I've been telling people that, Sable's sort of the Hobbit and the Fable's the Lord of the Rings. But it's sort of the intro to the new book, the new story, and quite literally. And January 8th, the whole world is kind of, all the music drops out, and I say that, and it's almost like me saying it to the guy that sang the 3 Sable songs, the guy that's been kind of in the metaphorical cabin, in the dark, Man in Black situation. And there are moments where I wasn't sure I was gonna make it or something, or like I just like, what am I doing? I don't have the tools to move forward. And January being the metaphor for winter, sometimes winter can be very bad. And I wanted to tell myself, like, it's not going to last forever. Like, the spring will come. It's a long ways away, but it's not the whole world.
Yeah. January being the start of a new year, so horrid, isn't it? For the beginning of something new, isn't it? What an awful way to start.
Who decided
things.
that?
Yeah, I know, right? Ridiculous. We've kind of touched upon it already, but I would love to hear it in your words about how Sable Fable is so different from your previous work, or how you think it's so different.
Yeah. Well, I think Sable is sort of almost a cartoonish look at a lot of like our earlier stuff with the cabin-y folk thing. I don't mean cartoonish in a bad way. It's just like, it's kind of trying to encapsulate this ideal that I think haunted me a little bit. It's like, oh man, so you moved to the cabin, crazy. And like, there's all this like lore that went around with it that sort of like felt like it kind of started accumulating on me and weighting me down a little bit. And I think so. Those 3 songs are sort of my reaction to being kind of under that weight, or like, that people put me on, or that I put myself under, really. And yeah, again, Fable, I think, is that the last minute when you feel like you're not going to make it, you decide to get up and you have that last bit of energy to make it.
Is there a song that you want to play tonight that maybe encompasses that last minute piece of energy?
Yeah,
to pull yourself out of the darkness.
I think so. Yeah, I'll play The Horses by Rickie Lee Jones.
That's the way it's gonna be, little darling. We'll be riding on the horses, yeah. Way up in the sky, little darling. If you fall, pick you up, pick you up.
This is my number 2 favorite song of all time, and it's been in that slot for a long time.
Just so we know, what is number 1?
The Fugitive by Indigo Girls.
Okay, nice.
I shout out that song because I played it on so many things. I was like, they're my favorite band, and that's my favorite song of all time. It's like almost beyond saved me. It shaped me. It made me. So I was like, felt like I had to take it off
An
the
honorable
list.
mention tonight.
But it's, deeply, deeply. So I think this song, this was very much, I'm 17 years old. I see Jerry Maguire, the movie, and there's this particular song where this song comes in. And over the next year, I went deeply into Rickie Lee Jones' music, and I find her to be one of the true visionaries. I don't use that word lightly, of American music. And this is just my favorite personal track of hers. And the story for me goes like, it was such a powerful song, the way that the chords flipped and her emotional, and the musicians on the track. My best memory is I was a football captain, American football captain of my high school team. And it would be, late in the season, and it would be very cold, and we would have won the game, and I would have been exhausted, and it would be like, 15 degrees Fahrenheit outside, and all the windows would be down, and I would be so cold, but I would have this song just the loudest it could go, and I would play it over and over and over again, and I would just feel the intense cold, and the song just made me feel so thankful that there's that much beauty, like I loved my team. I loved playing that game. I loved being under the Friday night lights of it all. And it just felt like nothing could touch me. And that song is the soundtrack to that.
I'd be interested to know about how your experience in sport and a team there, if it has any connection to making music in any way.
Absolutely. I mean, I was also in an incredibly well-funded public high school music program as well, and I think both of them, I was really lucky because I got to do both. I think team sport is such a valuable aspect for teaching kids and adults really how to be with each other, how to make space for one another, how to to teach people to be confident in certain ways, and hey, it's your turn with the ball now, you got to do something, and it's kind of endless lessons there.
I played a lot of sport as well and was on a lot of teams, and although I loved exactly what you're describing there, I found the experience to be emotionally toxic sometimes, actually, and quite difficult to open up a lot of the time.
You think socially the environment with the other guys, you mean?
Yeah. And it perhaps didn't allow certain parts of me to really flourish in the way that music has. Did you ever find that at all?
Well, I feel really lucky to say this, but I was a pretty heart on my sleeve dude. I'm listening to the Indigo Girls, but I'm also the captain of my team, and I was nominated by my peers, and so I think in many ways, I still very good friends with a lot of these fellas.
Oh, that's great.
And I think, and I'm not patting myself on the back too much to say that I think I encourage everyone to be more open and to get to it. Let's talk. Let's get through this. Let's not just machismo our way through this situation. And unfortunately, I think a lot of that does happen in sport, where it's suck it up. If you're hurt, don't act hurt. Get through it. Some of that can be true, and some of it can be really dangerous. And we got to be talking out here. I mean, now in professional sports, you hear about there's meditating, there's deep camaraderie exercises. Now. Yeah, exactly. So yeah,
I'd be so emotional. I would cry when we conceded, when we were playing rugby. we'd concede a try, and I would like, I didn't know how to process it. I would just cry.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, like let's go.
I mean, I get it.
It's really
I get
intense.
I get
Yeah.
it.
Can we talk about day one?
Yeah, sure.
And maybe collaborations as well, because you go back through the Bon Iver discography, and in terms of, I suppose, listed collaborations, there's not a whole load.
Mm-hmm.
But this time around, on day one, we get Dijon. And remind me of the other.
And Flock of Dimes.
Yes, of course, yeah, who is brilliant on the track, and I love. Why did you feel it was the right time to bring other people into the occasion?
Well, I didn't know at first. You know, I think the whole thing of making an album usually for me is usually a kind of like it shows itself, and I just kind of have to be sitting there in front of the rock, you know, clinking away at it until it shows itself. But when I got that track, you know, I didn't really make any of the music on that track. Another producer that lives here sent it kind of as is, and I just immediately knew what I wanted to put on top of it. But it always felt like a gang vocal that I wanted to hear on it. And I fell in love with Dijon's music, incredibly humbled by his talent. And Flock of Dimes, Jen Wasner, joined Bon Iver in 2018. And so she and I have been collaborating a lot. She's just a monster in the studio, just unbelievably good. And so I asked her, for instance, to write a verse because I heard Bonnie Raitt on the song, and I wanted Bonnie Raitt to play a slide solo and all this stuff. And I was like, all right, Waz, I want you to write a verse for Bonnie Raitt, just like sound like Bonnie Raitt, blah blah blah. Of course, she smashes it and sends it back, and I cried. It was so good, and I was like, well, dang, like my number one favorite artist of all time, Bonnie Raitt, you just beat her out for being on the track. And then there's an interesting thing too, where when I added Dijon onto it, it was sort of like these two, you know, Dijon and I struggle a lot with just like, what is this mechanism that we're in as artists? Are we just like faces of something? Are we just like, you know, we often, both of us, I think, like to fight against the notion that, you know, we're out here to be seen, you know, but I think Dijon and I really want to be heard, but we struggle a lot, and we're also like emotional, or we get a little manic at times or something. I'm not speaking for him too much, but Waz, she comes in as sort of this maternal character in the song and kind of lays it all out in her verse to Dijon and I. It's like, sometimes you might just have to buck up and get through this, you men. You know,
that's exactly how I felt listening to it. It was a really motherly moment from Flock of Dimes. Almost, you know, I think your music has been such an arm around the shoulder for so many people across the world, but it really felt like in that moment, Flock of Dimes was that for you and Dijon on the track.
Well, and we become such good friends. It's she's been that to me in life too. So that's I think what made it so emotional for me.
And we've got Danielle Haim as well. Was that another? You just felt like you needed another voice. Oh, by the way, her performance on that track is incredible.
It's bonkers.
Yeah,
it's bonkers.
Yeah, you must have been blown away when you.
Well, I mean, I fell in love with the Last Time record. I've always been a fan. Actually, Waz was the first one to show me the First Time record back in the day. But when Women in Music Part 3 came out, I hadn't been hit by a record like that. I don't know. It's been a long time, many, many, many years, where a record came in and just like erased everything else I was listening to. It's all I wanted to hear. And so Jimmy Stack, who co-produced the whole set of music with me, at some point during that kind of, as COVID was sort of coming to its end, was like, would you ever want to make music with Danielle Haim? I was like, yes. When are you guys coming? And I was living by myself in this little outbuilding during COVID, and I didn't have a lot of friends, and I was pretty isolated, and I hadn't really invited that many people out there. It was a weird time, but the two of them showed up on February 22nd, 2022, and we got snowed in for 4 days, and we made a whole lot of ideas, some that will still find the light of day, but that song was kind of created then, and her sort of vocalizations and ideas over mine, I was like, I know that this is a duet. I know it's going to take years to figure it out, but we just finished it 6 months ago. I'm really proud of that song.
If Only I Could Wait is probably one of my favorites off the album. From is another one as well, and I'd really like to talk about that song too, and we'll do that in just a second, but it might be nice to get another track.
Yeah,
Songs
absolutely.
To Save Me. What do you want to go for?
Let's go Nina.
Simone.
Yeah, Nina Simone. I mean, I think anybody who is into Nina, for some reason, I think this Nina and piano record gets lost, or at least it didn't seem to be the most popular thing when I was growing up. Nina had her kind of straight ahead jazz period and whatnot, but I never really understood her piano playing as to be a centrific part of her sound until I heard this record. And this is the first track on Nina Simone and piano. And I've never been married, but I always thought, like, I don't think husbands walk down the aisle, but if I do walk down the aisle, it's going to be to this song. I think it's just such a beautiful sentiment. Her piano playing is like unlike anything else. And when you have a piano player that has their own unique voice on the piano, and as deep as her knowledge of music goes, on top of having the most gifted and haunting voices in human history, she sings a song like this, I am transported, and it's proof of love. Seems I'm never tired loving you. It's one of my favorite tracks of all time, Nina Simone.
Darling, you always needed, and your tenderness is needed too, and it seems that I'm never tired loving you.
To me, that is one of the most biblical ways you can talk about love. She's talking about moving mountains and literal huge landscapes just to, express this love for this person. There are a million different ways to say I love you. Is that maybe your favorite though?
Yeah, that song is like, that's it. That's the translation right there.
Can we go and talk about From?
Yeah.
Like we mentioned before.
Yeah.
Is Mk.gee on that song?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The opening riff just felt so Mk.gee to me.
Yeah.
I obviously it just felt like I had to ask the question.
Yeah.
And I think the Dijon connection kind of prompted that as well, of course. A special artist who I've had the pleasure to interview and see live. Have you managed to? You've obviously spoken to him. Have you seen him live before?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I saw him a couple times in L.A. Oh, I saw him in New York when Dijon was doing the drums, and I saw him in L.A. again, and maybe another time. I mean, it's just fascinating. I mean, I think when Mike was in Dijon's band, they were humbling me every night because they were opening our first tour out of COVID, and it was by far the most inspired I'd ever been by anybody I was on tour with. I mean, they really destroyed me, and like I said, humbled. I'm confident in what we do, but it really made me like, I gotta get back to it. I gotta grow, And then of course Mike, right after that, we became friends, and so we live in the same neighborhood in LA, and I would pop over with a 6-pack or a 12-pack, and we would just sort
Depending
of
what kind of night it is.
Yeah.
What differentiates the two?
Yeah. it's a 6, 12, or 24 kind of night. Just depends on when you start and whatnot, how many sandwiches you've had.
Yeah.
But he didn't live far from me, so I'd go over, and I remember him showing me the record in his like scrappy studio, and I was just like, man, this is absolutely crazy. I can't wait for people to hear this. And of course people did. But we made some music here and there, and actually I wrote From after that session, but I needed an intro and something to come back as an instrumental in between these verses. And so I actually went back to my session with Mike, and I remember just loving this one riff that he played one time during that kind of just jam session. And I grabbed it and I sampled it and I put it back up into the key of From, and just like that became the whole kind of head. And then I had our man Collier come in and do
Jacob's on that as well.
Yeah, he does all the vocal arrangement.
Oh, nice.
So I kind of wrote I wanted it to be a group. And actually my reference for it was The Horses by Rickie Lee Jones. The don't you ready? It's like those kind of vocals in The Horses that I referenced to Jacob. And I was like, Jacob, can you please arrange these to sound cool? And of course he does it in 5 seconds.
Do you think From is perhaps the most pop song we've had from Bon Iver, perhaps since Skinny Love?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. It's definitely I was definitely listening to hot Bonnie Raitt hits from the 90s and early 2000s, I was just wanting to cop that feel, like cop that mid-tempo cruiser. And again, not hide anymore. So I hope I did that.
Should we get another song?
Yes.
What do you want to go for?
Actually, on that tour with Mk.gee and Dijon, and Mike being in Dijon's band, Dijon pulled me aside one night and hipped me to this Little Feat song, Long Distance Love. And it was one of those things where I was like, how is this real? How have I never heard this song?
I said, whoa, I need her so. They said, you got to stop your pleading. 'Cause no matter what you do, even pray to heaven above, all you ever get from her is long distance love.
It's a perfect song. When I moved to LA, or I got my little spot there, I should say, I listened to the song on repeat, like when I was moving in from when I woke up, loud as hell, all the way to when I went to bed for 3 days in a row. I didn't change the song. It's one of those rare songs that's a perfect loop. You want to hear it again every single time for me. And it's such an example of like this like white soul. I don't know how to say it. Little Feat has this like kind of Mississippi cross-pollination, cross-racial line soul thing going on. And it's a perfect song. It's just a song that was the right place, the right time, and spoke to me and really did kind of save me from careening, you know?
I like to ask a lot of artists this question, but I feel like, well, I'm hoping that you might have the best answer to it yet, but how do you shut off from the noise of the modern world? Because I feel like that's incredibly important for any artist to be able to do, to actually create something unique.
It's a good question. I think I've always been, I almost go searching for negative reviews, or I keep my ears out open for people that don't like what we've done, because it's something that I can.
So you listen to the bad things?
Yeah, and they make me laugh. I enjoy them. They make me smile. Not like laugh like I'm making fun of them. It's something I can trust, and that I can. It's sort of a way to center, to make sure I don't get too full of myself, or, you know, they'll say something funny like this is whiny, or whatever, and I'm just like, yeah, it is. You know, like that's okay. And I think I'm more apt to locate those kinds of things to center me, to remember like this is not the biggest deal in the world. No artist, Michael Jackson, nobody has gotten everybody, and it's not the point. The point is to make something truthful. And so when I hear people, you know, really giving me the accolades, or like, you know, there's a voice of a generation comment or something, I often don't trust those comments. And I have to say, I think it's served me well, because I don't believe it. I don't think that we're meant to be icons. I think we're meant to be in service of people. That's what I really mean. And I think that it can be a distraction to think that, you know, if you drinking your own Kool-Aid, you're going to drown in it. And that's how I think I react to this stuff, you know. And I think I'm finally comfortable. You know, it's nice to sit and talk to you and recognize that I've worked really hard and made a lot of music these last almost 20 years. But it's really important to stay centered and humbled. And so I try to trust those things, those instincts.
So it sounds like you and Dijon did come to a conclusion on what the purpose is, really.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
On day one, you talk about, is it wanting to go into reverse?
Can I get a rewind?
Yeah, sorry, that's it.
Yeah,
Can I
yeah.
get a rewind? I wonder if there's anything in your career that you regret or would change?
No. I think at the end of making I and kind of rushing into that tour, and it felt a little rushed. I felt a little like I could have taken a little more time, but I don't regret anything. I think that there's things I can look back in my personal life and wish I would have been a better boyfriend, a better person, a better brother, a better son. Those are the things that I think I can really hang my hat on, to say that I've really like investigated those kinds of things. But being an artist, it's like as long as you work through and feel like you've completed your idea, there's really nothing to regret.
What was the hardest thing about making Sable Fable?
The emotions that it brought up. I mean, there are a lot of times, like, I'm not embarrassed to say that what I was working on would I would be on the ground, and I would be, heaving, because I was trying to locate what was wrong, and sometimes when you find it, it's like acupuncture or something. It's gonna crack you wide open. And I think that's the utility of making this music for me, and that's the service to myself, really, that I hope ends up being, as my friend Laura Snape said yesterday, a utility to finding ourselves.
Was there a song that had you particularly flat out and worried that you might not even get to finish this?
I think every song, when you get closer, you get closer.
Okay.
So, like, I think the more I felt that feeling, the heaving on the floor is like, actually, you're getting closer to getting better. You're releasing all that toxic buildup in your system, But I think Things Behind Things was definitely like the marker, the beginning, the sort of like, I need this feeling gone. I need it gone now. I get caught looking in the mirror on the regular. I see a competitor there, But by the end, I've been through a lot, and just finding peace in sort of the unclarity of it all.
I can't go through the motions. I can't go through the motions. How am I supposed to do this now? Say we went out strolling. Say we went out strolling. Say I went and told them how.
Can I read you my favourite lyric on
Yeah,
that?
of course.
It's on I'll Be There. Keep the sad shit off the phone and get your fine ass on the road.
Yes.
What a Bon Iver lyric that is.
Yeah.
I love that lyric.
Yes.
Because that really made me laugh
Yeah.
at first.
Yeah.
Because it was slightly unexpected from
Yeah,
you, I
yeah.
think. Did you, when you wrote that lyric, were you like, oh, this definitely needs to stay in? Or was
Hell
it
yeah.
Sort of, yeah, you
Hell
liked
yeah.
it
This is
straight away?
exactly what I was trying to do. Step into the light, like,
Yeah.
own it, like, say the thing you actually mean. Don't
Yeah.
like hide behind it, or like, I'm an artist, so I'm gonna say it cool. It's like, get your fine ass on the road. That's it. That's the only thing to say sometimes.
Keep the sad shit off the phone and get your fine ass on the road.
Maybe on the flip side of that, and playing into what we've been talking about, you're like, oh, I want to take it off the phone, but I'm going to get on the road still and still kind of run away from whatever this is, or at least that's how I interpreted it. Was that kind of the right feeling?
Well, it's really beckoning and calling.
Okay.
It's like, that song's kind of a two people talking to each other. It's like that's Danielle singing on there too.
Yeah.
She's saying, I'll be there, and I'm saying, I won't move. Like, I'll be here. And I think that the verses are very much like, I know it's like whatever's going on, but like, you get going, get here, get on a plane, get on a train, whatever you got to do, you get your ass
Do you
here.
think she helped you bring out that kind of like that get your fine ass on the road line?
I think so. I think
they're fun when they make music.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. I mean, I just, that's what I think stunned me so much about her and their music. Like, it's just so, it reminded me of when I first heard like the Jackson 5 or something. I don't know. It's just like so pure, and like, it just says what it is, and it says the pop thing, but it says it in a way that makes pop songs real. And so I think, yeah, definitely. I mean, that song was just sort of this like roving idea. And so when she sat down, I didn't even know what the song was called or anything, but she just heard this little sample in the background, and she's like, and I'll be there. And I was like, oh, damn, okay, that's it. And that's all she needed to do, really. And then the rest of the song wrote itself after I heard her sing those three words,
Another of my favourite things about this album was how attentive you were to the other side the whole time. This wasn't just about you. There was a selflessness to the making of Sable Fable. You very much took into consideration how the other person felt and how they played their role. There's always two sides to every single story.
Yes, sir.
And as we kind of get to the culmination of the album, the actual music almost subsides and the words kind of start to play their role a lot more powerfully until you hit Au revoir, of course, where musically it just plays out. In your own words, did this album conclude positively or negatively for you?
It concludes with acceptance, which is our true goal, because you can experience joy with presence and you can experience loss with presence. And if you can experience them with the same mechanism, you can find beauty, true, magical, heavenly beauty in both joy and in loss. If you're here now.
I've had one home that I've known. And maybe it's the time to go. I could leave behind the snow for a land of palm and gold.
I think that's what There's a Rhythm is about, and that Au revoir is really just like the outro to this concept of like, once you find the rhythm, once you find how to be in yourself, you can kind of die. You can kind of leave, or you can kind of just be in everlasting acceptance.
I really am so happy that you found the kind of light and the end and the acceptance at the end of all this journey. It feels like a perfect conclusion. And we do actually need one more song from
Yes.
to perfectly conclude Songs That Saved Me.
Well, this one really that phrase saved me. This one, I Know You Know by OG, truly did save me.
I know you know that I'll be there whenever you need me. Oh, come on, we got some work to do. This could take us some time, but
I was in this very difficult spot, after our tour, really kind of going through some heartache, some confusion, some isolation and anxiety. We're kind of at an all-time accumulation. And I didn't know what to do. I would walk around. We have this pole barn, this kind of shed that's just full of stuff that has accumulated over the years, quite a metaphor. And for about a week, I'm not exaggerating, for about a week, I heard this song. I don't even know how I heard it, by OG, and I put it on, and I didn't turn it off for a week. I mean, to go to sleep, I turned it off, but then as soon as every morning I would wake up, I would exercise and have a little decaf, and I would head to the barn, and I would organize the barn for a whole week. And it was at this moment in life where it's like when you have anxiety, it's so bad, you don't know what to do with yourself. You just feel like at any moment now you could just burst into flames or disappear from the earth. And this song brought joy to a place I thought there was no way light could make it to anymore. I really thought it was over, and not that I was going to die or that I had ideations or anything like that. It was just like, well, there's no life left. I don't know, where is there going to be growth? Where is there going to be green to come from with this like sullied soil, And this song quite literally became my friend for this week, and all I did was clean the garage.
It literally sounds like a song that saved you.
Yeah, it saved me. OG,
The perfect
I Know
ending to
You Know.
things.
It's just, I love the song. Thank you for this song.
Sable Fable, the brand new album from Bon Iver, is out now. Justin, this has been an unbelievably amazing talk. Thank you so much for your
I
time.
really had a nice time. Thank you so much.
Maybe we should go and get lost in the jungle
Let's
of the
do it.
Barbican.
Let's do it.